this is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another special installment of Wrestling Insiders. It is almost the post-game show from what was certainly the most wild episode of Wrestling Insiders, Party with Marty, with your host, WWE legend Marty Jannetty, where we talked about a plane ride from hell that had not been documented yet that I never heard about, the one in 2002 when WWE went from the UK back to the United States has been talked about ad nauseum over the years. But this one from 1990, I had never heard it before. I'll never look at GHB the same way again, I guess. It was an unpredictable episode. Plus, we talked a lot about more of Marty's initial days in WWF in 1988, what led Terry Taylor, attitude-wise, to becoming a Red Rooster, the Rockers' debut at Madison Square Garden, and so much more. If you missed the live premiere, I think you're nuts. We do it every Thursday night at 9 p.m., but it is available immediately in the archives. And don't forget, tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, right after SmackDown, the fabulous one himself is back, Mr. John Cena Sr., each and every Friday night at 10 p.m. after the Thunderdome concludes in Orlando. We get to see a dome of a different kind. John Cena Sr. in studio this week. We remember the late, great Road Warrior Animal, as well as discuss the Roman Reigns Jey Uso dynamic from Clash of Champions. Very interesting episode tomorrow night at 10 p.m. after SmackDown right here on the Boston Wrestling MWF YouTube channel. Now we can kind of ease into what we're going to talk about now after the fans calm down from what must have been causing erratic heartbeats hearing Marty's story about that plane ride. Hellacious. I don't want to overuse that. That's a great word, but I think that plane ride was hellacious.
Well,
I wish I was on it, though, if that makes you feel any better.
Well, wrestling last night wasn't as crazy, but...
Certainly not. Certainly not. We have not one but two great programs to dive through that I'm sure certainly will not be remembered as well as Marty's story about the plane ride from San Francisco to Dallas.
No. So we'll get into NXT now.
All right.
As we recap that, Shotzi Blackheart defeated Dakota Kai.
It was unbelievable.
There was a distraction from Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley as they got into it in the outside of the ring. What do you think about Shotzi Blackheart rolling up Dakota Kai?
I couldn't believe that. Not that WWE has any idea. Well, you know what? Where AEW, I think, some weeks is pre-taped, maybe they do have a better idea of what is going to be available format-wise if they have little spies that can feed them the information. But I was blown away that WWE NXT would put that match on head-to-head with what AEW opened with. I was blown away with the... I really love the opener on AEW, which we'll talk about. This, to me, it was just garbage I had no interest in. But the line maybe of the year was when Beth Phoenix says, everyone needs to face the champion because it brings out the best of them. What a stupid remark to make. Whoever wrote that line for her, because I know she's awfully pre-prepared due to her limited experience in the broadcast booth. But if it was something off the top of her head, it just shows oblivious it is to what it is that she should be calling in the ring. Why should every person that gets involved in the genre be given championship matches to bring out the best in them? That was the most ridiculous thing I've heard in what's been 20 years of ridiculous lines on a pro wrestling show.
I said this multiple times before. I listen to NXT on mute. I cannot stand Beth Phoenix, and I know other people can't deal with her. For the people that do, I don't know how you do it. But she just is just awful. I don't know what other way to put it. She's just garbage. I don't know why they still have her on there.
Because of who she's married to.
And, well, yeah. But I don't think Wade Barrett was on last night.
No, he wasn't.
No, I actually just realized that because I had it on mute for a little bit. And then I wanted to see, what was going on towards the end. But that was pretty much it. But did you see that nasty spot on the apron that Blackheart landed on her head?
Yeah, the whole match was nasty to me, but
yeah.
I couldn't imagine ever wanting to see either one of them again, whether it be on NXT, Raw, or SmackDown.
But-
it was way too long. I couldn't believe that it came back
Yeah.
after the commercial break. It was just so uninteresting and unappealing to me. I know the ladies work hard. It's not a personal slight against their work ethic, but it wasn't anything that interested me or I'd ever want to see again. It would make me want to change the channel if I was watching them back and forth.
And then for a go-home show, for the pay-per-view this Sunday, you open with something that has nothing to do with this Sunday. So the people who were tuned in from whatever it is, Modern Family, and you're going to open with this and not push the pay-per-view at all. They didn't push the pay-per-view until about 20, 25 minutes in.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But even if you're going to go that route, put on something good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm talking about especially in a go-home show.
Sure. No, you're right. You're right.
You want to start with something that the people who are just flipping through the channels at, 8 o'clock on the dot, that they're going to stop and be like, get ready for the pay-per-view at least. You're not going to grab millions of people, but, better than nothing at all.
You should just want to open the show with something that's going to hold someone's attention. And again, I don't want to talk too much about the AEW show right now, but they did a great job in doing that compared to, again, something not only did I not enjoy live on NXT, but something I would never, ever want to see again on any wrestling show anywhere at any time. It's not a personal slight. I just didn't like it. It felt like garbage to me that was just filling time. And to open a show, that's not what you should be doing.
I forgot I DVR'd both shows, and I was watching them today because I was watching all the games that were on last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually switched back to another channel, forgetting I had to fast forward.
Forgetting you had the ability to fast forward through it.
I switched to another channel. I go, I don't want to watch this. And then I switched. I'm like, wait, I can fast forward through this bullshit. Then in the next segment, which is when they started pushing anything that's happening on Sunday, Santos Escobar and Isaiah Swerve Scott went back and forth in a backstage segment to build up their NXT Cruiserweight title match at NXT TakeOver this Sunday. What did you think of that little? I liked it going back and forth a little bit. They were in separate rooms.
It was much better than having them standing in the ring, 3 feet from each other, saying the same things they usually say. I thought they both came off with a little bit more personality the way it was set up. I think it's going to be, has the potential at least to be a pretty good match. I think Isaiah Swerve Scott has tremendous potential. I don't know if I exactly believe him to be the badass type that he tries to be in the promos sometimes, but as far as an athlete in the ring goes, he's off the charts. That's a match I'm looking forward to this Sunday night at NXT TakeOver, which if fans don't know, we'll be having that live watch along with yet again. All our friends from around the corner and around the world will be typing along in the chat, I'm sure. Maria, Tina, Rick B., Big Ant from Thunder Valley, Kevin, everybody's going to be joining us. We're going to have a lot of fun Sunday night during TakeOver.
And the Sox will be there, too.
Well, we don't know if they're going to be on or off, though. That's the big surprise. It's almost like when Finn, would he come out as the Demon or would he come out as Finn? It's going to be like you with the Sox.
You know what? I might have to surprise you.
All right, well, keep them guessing.
Keep them guessing. And then in the next promotional segment, they played a video about the background of Kyle O'Reilly. I thought it was a very good video that helped build up his NXT title match against Finn Balor this Sunday. But NXT does a great job of these videos.
Mm-hmm.
The main roster doesn't do these at all. Maybe once in a blue moon with the Jey Uso and Roman Reigns thing. But for the most part, NXT does a great job building these matches that, aren't great. Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor. It's not a main ticket, main event type of thing. But is it good quality? Yes, but they're doing a good job in trying to get the fans interested in Kyle O'Reilly's biggest match of his career.
Well, the way they presented it, it made it feel important, and it made it seem important. And I say this, I thought it was a great video package. The only thing that made me scratch the old Marty noggin a little bit was that it almost made Kyle O'Reilly seem like a baby face. So could we perhaps see that coming Sunday night or sometime in the immediate future? And I also have to pause for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, just entering the podcast suite right now is MWF legend, MWF Goodwill Ambassador, Quincy Rustani. Quincy, it's a pleasure to have you here in the studio as we talk a little bit of NXT, one of your favorite shows, I'm sure.
What are you talking?
We're talking NXT, Quincy.
NXT.
No, not NST, NXT.
What does that stand for?
Next.
Next.
Next, yeah. All right, Quincy, let us
get.
get. It's a new one on you. That's right.
You'll have to tell me more about that later.
Quincy's trying to emulate his finest Newt Gingrich right now with the little pause. We'll talk about that later.
Will you?
Quincy, say hello at least to Maria and Tina.
All right, to Maria and Tina.
Just say hi.
Okay, Maria and Tina. I
Yeah.
can't mention too many names, but again, give my best to Al.
Yeah, they'll give
Wherever
their best
he
to
is,
Al. Yeah.
Things are a little bit screwed up right now because of a crisis that's happening out there.
All right. All right.
Well,
He's
let me
doing
just
the
say a few
run-in.
words. Holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can. So there's no better time than right now.
Yeah.
To the world of NWF and everyone, all our viewers, I might as well say it now while I have a chance. Have a happy and safe holiday.
Well, it is
Crisis
October
or no
1st.
Crisis, it just so happens we have something that's happening.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
We'll see what we can do.
For the world of NWF.
All right, Quincy. Quincy and I have a little mission to go on when we're done with this podcast. So, Quincy, I'll be with you in just a few minutes as we continue this great production piece on Kyle O'Reilly. Again, effective. Made him seem like a serious threat to the championship. Just thought he came off sort of as a baby face. That's all.
Well, yeah, because as
Could
I
it
had
be
in my
foreshadowing something? We will see.
I had it in my news. I had it in my
have
news
a good
notes
night,
section.
bud.
Thank
Hope
you,
we'll see
Quincy.
each other soon.
Yeah, thank you, Quincy.
I had it in my news and notes section, but we'll talk about it now since
All
it's
right.
brought up. But WWE has plans to make Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly baby faces. And then Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish are going to be heels. So it looks like they might do a tag team match in the
A
future.
little grimacing on the old Marty face as Joe Scoops comes along with that one. I don't like that at all.
No.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
No. And then in this next segment, we'll see if you like it. Ridge Holland defeated Cameron Grimes in quick fashion. Cameron Grimes, I don't really care for.
He comes off as very out of place.
He just looks like a goof. I don't know. It sounds like that Southern accent is just fake.
Yeah. I don't know if it's him or if it's the gimmick, but if I never saw him again, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't lose too much sleep.
No.
But
None.
Ridge Holland, I like when he came out, he destroyed that jobber, Joey Pistachio, even though he had a different name on his robe or whatever he had. But I like
maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. I like Ridge Holland. I don't know if you like him or not, but
I haven't seen enough of him really to make a judgment about his wrestling, but I think he's got a great physical presence. I love how he stomped the hell out of him. I thought it was a very, very, very effective segment for Ridge Holland. Again, Cameron Grimes, I know he has a segment of fans out there, and I just don't happen to be one of them. I don't know if I just don't like his gimmick or if it's him. I haven't seen enough of him in the ring
It's
either
not-
to make that judgment.
it's not grime time for Dan Mirade.
No, definitely not Grime time.
No, it's just 4:43.
Exactly.
Exactly. Kushida defeated Tony Nese. After the match, Velveteen
Big one.
Dream came up on the big screen.
Yeah.
He gave Kushida a message before their match on Sunday. I don't know why this match is happening on Sunday. It's just seems like a match that's just thrown on there to kill time. Will it be a good match? Probably. Does it need to be on a takeover per se? Not really. I think it'd be better as just a main event of NXT TV or even just an opening segment of NXT TV. I don't really see it being a top NXT match, one of the big matches that they put on there since they don't have them that often. What did you think about Kushida and Tony Nese?
No, I thought the match was set the right tone for Kushida heading into the quasi pay-per-view on Sunday. Hopefully Velveteen Dream was staying off the apps before he cut that promo. Velveteen Dream he's got great, as much as I don't like the human being, as I've noted many times, he's got a great gimmick. He's got great charisma. His promos might not be great, but they're interesting. It's just when he actually works a match, he comes across as very, very, very awkward. Anytime he tries to throw a punch, it almost looks like an odd slap. The way he sells, the way he moves, even his footwork, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done for Velveteen Dream. For anyone that is a fan of his that believes he belongs on Raw or SmackDown right now, Kushida is very, very solid. His promos certainly needed the subtitles, which NXT was kind enough to include, or I don't think anyone watching it would have had a clue to have known what was going on. It was almost like Andrade when he cut that promo on Zelina Vega on Monday, although there was a little English thrown in on that one. But, yeah, I mean, is it the match that everyone's looking forward to on the pay-per-view? No. Could Kushida shine and maybe make Velveteen Dream look really good? Sure. Possibilities there.
Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday for our watch-along.
Wait a minute. Quincy Rastani's doing another walk-in. Wait, Quincy, what was that? Quincy, I'm going to go with you in just a couple minutes.
Make it short.
All right, we'll make it short. All right, well, the longer you interrupt, and there's an umbrella out there, too, if you're worried about this rain. Rastani rain. All right,
Does he have the jacket on?
No, it's a little... Yeah, all right, Quincy, all right. Just give me a few minutes and we'll plow right through it, Quincy. We're almost done. All right, continue with NXT, this hot episode.
The next segment, Adam Cole defeated Austin Theory. What did you think about that match? I thought it was a little too long for me, in my opinion. What did you think of Cole and Theory?
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I thought the match was spot on. I would have rather have seen it built up to a match on TakeOver. I would have rather have seen it built up to a match on TV next week instead of just one of those, another ad nauseum. Oh, I come out, we're going to have a segment. Oh, the match is next, even though no authority figure is authorizing the match to take place. If you eliminate that confusion or that small detail that always seems to be missing far too much nowadays, I thought the actual bell-to-bell was very, 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 very good. But I'll say this at the end, I thought Adam Cole put Kyle O'Reilly over far too strong when he was talking to the camera, and it made me feel like that Cole is going to turn on a babyface O'Reilly. I have a feeling, and I don't know this as fact, I did not hear this from any of my dear close personal friends at Stamford, Connecticut, who were kind enough today to send along a copy of the new 2K Battlegrounds PlayStation 4 game to Baby Marty. He is very excited about that. You can get that at your finest retail stores anywhere, as well as WWEshop.com. I'm hearing great things about the WWE Battleground game. But again, what I'm going to say right now is not a scoop from anyone from WWE. It is a Dan Mirade opinion and observation. I think that you may see Finn Balor drafted back to Raw or SmackDown in the coming weeks. We may see a new champion in Kyle O'Reilly, and you may see Adam Cole turn on him. I know that doesn't go along with the Giuseppe scoop that you had earlier tonight, but again, I don't know this is fact. It was just an observation.
I mean, that's just what's being talked about, but I don't want to go into predictions or anything like that. So we'll talk about that on Sunday before TakeOver starts.
Please.
But I don't want to give up too much of what's going through my mind now.
Coming up with something that should have been given up was the next match.
Yeah, Caden Carter defeating Xia Li via roll-up. Another roll-up. I don't know. Usually these women's matches, unless it's for a title or it's something that they've done with a storyline with, I really have no notes on it, unless you do, which I don't.
I did take a couple of notes. It said, nobody cares. Too many women's matches. Wasn't bad. Wasn't good. Just there. Waste of time.
You could put that under any women's match that they.
I don't know about that, but this one specifically. Those were my notes on that match as I typed away as I watched it.
NXT champion Finn Balor and his challenger Kyle O'Reilly went face-to-face before their main event title match at NXT TakeOver 31. The segment was moderated by Shawn Michaels for some reason. It was a good segment. They've been building this match well so far, in my opinion. For a match that at first people might have not liked, almost like the Reigns and Uso thing, it's been built up very well for more people to be interested in it. More layers, more personality from each person that Kyle O'Reilly has never really shown before. What did you think about this sit-down segment with Shawn Michaels?
I've got to admit, I liked it an awful lot. I thought it was a nice, intimate setting. It was different. It was also different than just the face-to-face they tried to pull off earlier in the night for the Cruiserweight match with Isaiah Scott. My only complaint, of course, I have to try and pick apart these things, that sometimes if you pay attention to the small details mean a lot. I wouldn't have had Shawn Michaels host this segment the same week he was on a pay-per-view in the same week that he was laid out by Randy Orton on Raw. I thought that was a Shawn Michaels overkill. I thought Balor did a good job in putting O'Reilly over as a serious challenger, a real threat to him, but in the end, confident enough that he feels he'll retain. It made me want to see the match even more. So if you do that, that's an effective segment.
I thought it was good in building it up. Then in this next mixed tag team match, I thought it really didn't do anything for the show. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae defeated NXT North American Champion Damian Priest and NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai. This has to mean the champs will retain Sunday. I mean, usually when they do this type of match before, a pay-per-view, one, it's overkill because we're going to see them on Sunday. Two, why would you pin the champion right before he defends it on Sunday? It takes away from him. I know you're trying to build Gargano up as, he can go in there and beat him. But if you look at it in depth, you're going to see him beat him again on Sunday. It would just make no sense.
Well, my notes from that one was mixed tag team match did nothing to make me want to see either TakeOver 31 match. It was the right finish to build up the challenges as a threat to the titles they'll be competing for. I wouldn't have put this match on last to end the show.
That's what I said before with Gargano, putting him over as, he can defeat him on Sunday. Watch out for the title change type of thing. And them holding the belts, I don't know if it builds it in the best way. But
Priest and Gargano, to me, is not the most believable presentation.
No.
Just due to the size difference. I know some people say size doesn't matter in 2020. I know to Linda Mirade, she always told me it did, but that's a different story for a different time. But as far as the wrestling presentation goes, it just wasn't for me. And I definitely wouldn't have put it on last to end the show.
No. And then that was the end of the show. I mean, some things felt like a go-home show type of feel. And other things just felt like, just bullshit thrown on there. As I said, I could have said it about Raw and SmackDown last week. They just don't feel like go-home shows. It doesn't build you up for the pay-per-view. Other than the little videos they played throughout the night, it really didn't feel like that.
Yeah, and I look at my take-it-home notes. There was some good stuff on the show, but all of the women's segments and Beth Phoenix, horrible comedy, just not comedy, commentary, takes away from it. They get good promos with O'Reilly. The Cole and Theory match I thought was very good, but there wasn't enough solid in-ring action for me. I'll give this one a 6.
You gave this one a 6?
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 4.
Really? Wow. All right. Usually we're a little closer than that.
The only things I really liked were the promotional videos. The main event was all right, and then Cole and Theory. I don't think there was enough for me to even give it an average show. Having one good match and a couple good videos is not, and the videos are, how much do they take up of the show? 20%?
A lot of it, yeah.
30%? So, I mean, for videos, that really doesn't put the show over in that case. So, I mean, a 4, maybe a 5.
Feeling a little generous bumping it to the 5, but we'll go with the 4. That was your original number. I think, what I think we should do? Once we watch it and we write it down on paper, I think we should stick with that number.
All right.
That's just my opinion. But one thing I would like to do, everyone watching with us, I'd love for you to score the shows with us on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Let us know what you think, especially if you're chatting along during the live premiere after the Marty Jannetty Wrestling Insider episodes on Thursday nights. The show will be more fresh in your mind. Or even if you watch it after the fact, give us the score in the comment section below, what you thought of both the last night's edition of last night's edition of NXT and last night's edition of AEW. I go with the 6 for NXT. Matt goes with the 4. I want to know what you think right before you hit the Super Chat button, as right now you have a chance to pause. We're going to take a brief timeout. When we come back, we're going to be talking AEW Dynamite, baby. It's going to explode. Stand by.
All right, here we go. Okay. You about to meet the dark side. Rematch? Brawl Without Limits, or rest in peace.
All right, Giuseppe Scoops almost castrated me, folks. We forgot the NXT news and notes.
All right. Well, in the first piece I have here, WWE confirmed Tegan Nox tore her ACL. What do you think about them losing her on the roster?
Well, considering I don't know if I would recognize her if she crossed the street, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. I hope the human being is going to recover 100%. I hope she's back to training soon. I hope she's back to perfecting her craft inside the squared circle sooner than later. Better than ever. Best wishes to Tegan Nox.
And then the next little piece I have here, Chelsea Green could be headed to the main roster soon. They just trademarked a lot of her stuff. Sometimes that means they're getting, called up to the main roster. Sometimes it's just really nothing, but something to look out for. What do you think about Chelsea Green?
Works hard. Seems like a nice person. Is she going to add anything to the presentation on Raw or SmackDown? I shrugged my shoulders.
And she had a little main roster stint at the beginning of the year. Remember, she did.
That's right. Yep.
She had a few matches. I know she had one with Charlotte. I'm trying to think of who else she had a match with. I know she worked main event a few times. Not the main event of the show, but the show main event. Yeah.
Big difference.
Well, the next
not always, but
Bo Dallas and Ember Moon are the two top names to be the mystery person showing up on Sunday.
Oh, is there a mystery person that's supposed to be coming to NXT for a woman?
Well, they didn't reveal if it was a man or a woman, but in the video.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, the mystery person video.
Yeah,
the bootleg retribution video. I see. Okay, now I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So some people think it's Bo Dallas, but they're saying it's a former champion. But everything, the posters that they've shown in the little videos, Ember Moon was on one, and so that's why I think it might be her.
I was told, and I don't even remember who, when, or where, but not to expect her back for a long,
I know,
long time. So if it is, I don't know. It would make me think no, just based upon that quote-unquote scoop I was given, but could be wrong. Maybe she is ready to come back. But I'm hoping it's Bo Dallas and something significant be done with him, because that's just one fantastic underrated talent. I've said it before, I've said it again. If you see Bo Dallas, especially on non-televised events where the camera isn't dictating to you what you're watching on the screen, that is one solid professional wrestler, and I hope he's given a platform to succeed. I like him an awful lot.
Because if people don't know, Ember Moon, she tore her Achilles, and
we miss her.
She was on WWE Backstage a few months ago, and I remember her talking about how her recovery wasn't going as good as she thought it was going, and she was going to be out a little longer than she thought. But that's just a name people are, shooting out there. But Bo Dallas, I would like to see come back and do one of those famous WWE returns where he comes back in tremendous shape, like Kalisto did. He's probably the most recent one, where they go out a little while, they have some time off,
come back better than ever.
Whether it's injury or just they're not using them and kind of send them away, kind of like what Bray Wyatt did last year. He got in much better shape than he was in before, added some more muscle in him. Braun Strowman.
Maybe that's what Mike needs to do for a comeback, too.
Yeah.
The whole family could come back that way. IRS could come back in better shape as a producer, and there you go.
I'd love to see Bo Dallas come back in much better shape, but then you'd have to think, say they do Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. What if Bo Dallas comes back and challenges Kyle O'Reilly, and then they do that? Whatever they may do. Maybe Finn Balor retains, and then they do Balor and Dallas, and then Dallas takes it off him, and then Balor goes to the main roster. Dallas stays down. He starts something with Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know.
So much intrigue and so many possibilities.
Yes. Do you want to take a break here before we get into AEW?
Considering how little we just spoke, no. We'll go right into AEW Dynamite.
Okay.
The Wednesday, September 30th, 2020 edition.
Okay, and then in the first segment, Darby Allin defeated Ricky Starks to open up Dynamite. I think they could have built this match a little more, maybe for a pay-per-view. I don't know how you view it. I mean, it's just what I'm working with and how I view it. But I think it could have been built up a little more than just an opening match on Dynamite. These two guys, they're good wrestlers. I like Starks a lot more than Darby. In my opinion, I can't really get into Darby that much when he's, 5'2" and 80 pounds and looks nothing like a wrestler at all. Starks at least has the charisma. He has the look, just needs to build a little more muscle. And as you said, get a little bit thicker. And he's right there at the top, in my opinion. But Darby going over Starks, what do you think about that opening segment?
Well, great promotional video hyping the Starks and Darby background. My first thought, why wasn't Taz at ringside for what was such an important match for one of the men of his stable? It was a good start to the match. You had the run-in by Cage and Hobbs, who fought to the back. At least they didn't interfere too much in the match itself. Starks had great heel aggression, like he was angry, like he actually really wanted to hurt Darby Allin, which is missing a lot in professional wrestling in 2020 when a lot of guys just want to get their spots in. Darby wins with the coffin drop with the babyface champion. I have to say I would have had Starks go over. That is a guy that I would look to be one of the cornerstones as the future of that company. Darby Allin, he has a fan base, he has a following. Like you said, he's not much of an imposing physical threat. That doesn't exactly mean he doesn't have a future, but there's just something about Starks where instead of the S at the beginning of Starks, it should be a $sign. I see a lot in that guy. I would sign him to a long-term deal if I was Tony Khan, if he hasn't already.
I would have had Starks go over as well. I liked, as you said, Cage coming out and then Hobbs kind of, intercepting him and, brawling or fighting him off, so Darby could finish that match and win. I thought the match itself was good, but, the guys involved, as of right now, I don't really particularly care for it, but the wrestling itself was quality in some form. Cody and Brody Lee have a pull-apart brawl in the next segment after Cody accepts Brody Lee's challenge for a dog collar match for the TNT title next week. Couple notes that I have here. Where were all these people last week when there was a brawl? Last week they have a brawl, nobody shows up. All of a sudden, within 10 seconds of them fighting each other, there's 50 people out there breaking up the fight. And then Brandy Rhodes comes out, and she takes out 5 guys, I believe it was 5, with a flip off the top rope. You're telling me that Brandy Rhodes, who I think weighs more than Darby Allin, is going to take out 5 dudes off of a dive? It's not believable to me. You know what I mean?
It was almost like 2 different segments. The Cody Rhodes return promo was very good, and I love that he put over, actually, Quincy Rastani's best friend, Uncle Al Snow. It was a very good, effective promo. He did a great job in teasing that he wasn't going to accept the dog collar match challenge. Then he accepted it. It'd be interesting to see if NXT counters with a gimmick match. And then just when you think, wow, this is really an interesting match, this is something I want to see, Brody Lee and the Dark Order come out. Another brawl with way too many guys involved, which happened so many times during this one episode of Dynamite.
There was just too much going on, way too many people. It felt all over the place. And then you had Nyla Rose coming out, and then you had women coming out, and then you just had people who weren't even involved in this feud coming out. It felt like it was supposed to end the show instead of being the second segment with everything going on. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then,
usually those brawls, they'll close out the show.
Well, there were so many of them this week, they didn't know where to put them.
It's just, the segment felt way too long, just all over the place. Almost like, I don't know how you can overbook a brawling segment, but if you were going to book an easy fight between 2 people, this is the epitome of it. I mean, how many people can you come out and start brawling? And how long was that segment? Usually the brawl lasts about 2 or 3 minutes. The people come out, they separate them, and you end it. They were separating them.
It wouldn't end. That just as the brawl that sucked continued. As you noted, Brandy runs out. You have to get her on the show. She does her big senton off the top rope onto the Dark Order. They should just call those losers the Dead Order at this point because they're dead on arrival. The entire faction collapses in the spot that I hate. I'm surprised they weren't grabbing each other's arms like they usually do. Brandy does a big Shawn Michaels nip up to the 500 or so people at Daly's place that God only knows what they must have thought to that. I put in the notes, how does Cody not know that this hurts more than helps? Nobody wants to see her in this position, but it feels like he's got to put her out there. It's almost like the Steve Austin, Deborah McMichael dynamic in 2001, where they were just to try and appease Austin's real life with Deborah McMichael. They were finding reasons to put her on TV, and no one really wanted to. Cody's a very smart guy. Then on top of all the men brawling, you had all the women started fighting at ringside. It was just so overbooked. It was so bad. It needlessly took all the focus off what was a very good, intense buildup of a match that I wanted to see until all of this began between Brody Lee and Cody. There was just no focus on the issue at hand by the time it was done. It was horrible.
And then in the next segment, I liked. I'm sure you liked it as well. I don't want to talk too much on that segment and having to repeat each other.
Shoot, brother, shoot.
Yeah, FTR retained their AEW tag titles over SCU. It was a good tag team match. It felt like real tag team wrestling. Sometimes tag matches, especially in AEW, when you have these random tag matches that feel nothing like real tag team wrestling, it's just a bunch of spots, and then the tag team finisher, and then it's over. This felt like a true tag team wrestling match. I don't know if you felt like that.
No,
but
it hit all the spots with me. I really enjoyed. I'm sorry.
And then I think what was really the cherry or the whipped cream or the sprinkles, whatever you like, the ending. It was a nice heel move to end the match with totally holding the leg down so he can't kick out and pushing him over. I thought that was a good ending.
Well, as I was going to say, it hit all the right spots to me. I could have done without Adam Page, who should be one of the cornerstones of the company, out there on commentary.
I don't know why he was out there.
Drinking like an idiot. FTR worked like great heels. I love Tully. In my notes, I did write, is SCU, were they heels or faces? They kind of come off as heels. They kind of work as faces. I'm always confused by that. I was happy that it was the Kazarian and Scorpio Sky combination of the three. I like those two the best. We disagreed a little last week. You thought it would be old Christopher Daniels, but luckily for the fans at home enjoying the show, they got the Scorpio Sky Kazarian combo.
I just don't know why he would go out there. He's done nothing with SCU in months,
Well,
and all of a sudden,
that way.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He should just be a singles competitor, and I don't know how much Daniels and Kazarian have left, but what are you going to do?
No, it was a great tag team match. Like you said,
It was
FTR
good.
worked like heels, and the finish actually had a heel finish. Imagine that. In 2020, someone wrestling like a heel and instead of just trying to get spots in.
Unlike Lanny's face finish.
Well, that spot never misses for Lanny.
The next segment, Chris Jericho defeated Isaiah Cassidy. Jericho, I don't believe should be wrestling. I know you've said it before, or at least wrestling this much on almost a week-to-week basis at this point. He looks way out of shape and way past his prime. Cassidy, he reminds me of Montez Ford from the Street Profits, and look and ability and all that stuff just reminds me of him. I know you're probably going to say the same thing as me with Jericho, just looking out of shape. Just look like he shouldn't be out there. What do you think about Jericho defeating Cassidy?
Again, way too many guys at ringside. I thought Jericho went out of his way to make Cassidy look very good. I think there's a big upside in Private Party as the years go on. I think they're still a little green right now, but I think they could be one of the tag teams of the decade as time goes on. You had Matt Hardy at ringside. Apparently nobody cared about who the mystery person was that took him out. I guess that's long forgotten about. Then, as this match where Jericho was trying to make Cassidy look like a somebody continued, you had Jericho and Swagger started fighting with Luther and other nobodies that were standing around ringside to take away the focus of the match and the angle at hand. The focus completely should have been on this young up-and-comer Cassidy trying to go for a win over a legend like Jericho, coming close to winning. The other bullshit wasn't needed, and it took away from what the match was. As far as Jericho, his physique goes, you know what? I look at him as what it is. This is a man that is pushing the big 5-0. He's not going to look like he did 10, 20 years ago. I think he's presentable. Let me tell you this. There's a lot more on that roster that need improvement over Chris Jericho. And the match itself, when they were actually focused on the match, really wasn't that bad at all. I just think they took away from the focus with the nonsense.
It was pretty good. It's just AEW, sometimes WWE does, they're in a good flow, and then they just start to overbook everything, and it just goes off the rails with this Luther and Serpentico that now I guess they're a tag team. I don't know if they were a tag team before, but now AEW needs to add yet another tag team to the roster and just randomly put people together.
There was one thing you missed that I wanted to note before the I think it was actually before the tag team title match when the Young Bucks super kicked Tony Schiavone in the middle of what was a pretty good FTR and Tully Blanchard interview. I just think that's a complete waste. I think these Young Bucks trying to recreate Triple H and Shawn Michaels in 1997, it was just stupid. It was pointless. It was uninteresting. Maybe there's a build to it at the end. Maybe there are people at home saying, be patient, Dan. See where this goes. Well, the first several weeks of this 1997 Young Bucks, I don't like it. It's uninteresting to me.
That's why I didn't add it. It did nothing.
Well, it's part of the show, but...
It's part of the show, but I mean, it was just... if you want to, you can add it. Go ahead, but it's just...
that was all I had.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's why I didn't add it, because there's really nothing to add other than it was stupid. But what are you going to do? The next segment between Kip Sabian and Miro showed them planning for their bachelor party. I think Kip Sabian takes away from Miro, and it'd be better if Miro was on his own and not showed off like a clown. He can be used for much more than being a best man, being a goof that just goes around and parties and plays video games. He's one of the guys on this roster that looks like he could beat the shit out of people, and they're using him like a goof. You know, they're making Orange Cassidy look like Miro, and Miro look like a goof.
Yeah, so that match will be coming soon. Orange Cassidy will be kicking Rusev in his toes.
Yeah, and in the next match, Orange Cassidy defeated.
I didn't even get to comment on the.
I just wanted to state that because I have no other notes. I wanted to just touch on that and then move back to Miro. Orange Cassidy defeated 10 of the Dark Order. I have no notes on that. I can't imagine you having any on that other than
I just, for what we spoke about first, Rusev was made out to look like a fucking idiot playing video games instead of kicking the fuck out of people, which is what they should be doing with the man. He's a legit badass. He's got a legit background. He's got value as far as his name goes. And every time they present him as an idiot, this happy-go-lucky fool that instead of wanting to go out and wrestle and fight, that's more worried about playing video games and hanging out with Kip Sabian at an empty Dave and Buster's or wherever they were. Mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing to me. I don't think it's a bad association. If it was badass Rusev with Sabian, I don't think that would be all that bad.
Yeah, it's just
the two of them acting like fools together. It's just funny doesn't equal money, baby. As far as the match goes, you were talking about Orange Cassidy at 10. I'd change that guy's name to 0. It should have been Orange Cassidy and 0. I wouldn't have put that on an independent wrestling show. Too many uninteresting, unover characters around ringside, with too many people around the ring from the previous match. Another match with a guy named Cassidy in it. Go figured. The match sucked. Yeah. Should have never been on national television.
No. As I said before, I think it's just the presentation of Kip and Miro.
One Cassidy was enough, and the good one was already in the ring, so he didn't need Orange, freshly squeezed or otherwise.
Yeah, but it's just the presentation of Miro and Kip. It's just if they presented them, like you said, as badasses, with, you know, Miro being the muscle and Kip being more of the mouthpiece, and, you know, he's taking the heat while Miro's doing more of the work, you know, kind of like MJF and Wardlow, but they don't use Wardlow like that like they should. And speaking of MJF, he teased joining the Inner Circle again, this time attending their party backstage and giving them gifts. What do you think of that little segment backstage?
Well, apparently Quincy would have been proud of the gift giving, considering he wished everyone a Merry Christmas on October 1st a little while ago. But, you know, it seemed like they were building Jericho and Swagger for a tag team title match headed into the pay-per-view, and now it almost seems like it's more of a Jericho-MJF tease. When maybe if MJF wins, he joins the faction or something like that. I could see maybe eventually down the road, and this is not a scoop from someone that said this to me, this is just a general observation. I could see MJF eventually facing Jericho and maybe taking the faction over from Jericho and turning Jericho babyface.
I would do longer booking than just the next pay-per-view that's in a few weeks. I could see them dragging this out in a good way for a little longer. But
well, it was interesting, and that's a good thing, because there were a lot of
that's
things
what
on
I'm
the
saying.
show that had zero interest.
That's what I'm saying, is
Yeah.
it's interesting. So don't just waste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can do more with it. Then in the next match, which really wasn't much of a match, Britt Baker, I didn't even get the name, defeated
Red Velvet.
Yeah. Some jobber. Took some time taking her out, but did the job and, executing her moves, and then put the glove on after the match, like Shawn Spears, and doing the mandible claw, whatever she calls it, to this woman.
Claw. The mandible claw. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about that?
My notes were very, very short on this one. I'll read them as is. Britt Baker equals good presence. Red Velvet did a fine job selling. All I had for that match.
I like Britt Baker as well, but she's another one that needs more work.
WWE missed the boat. I don't know why they didn't try and gobble her up.
Yeah. Then in the main event of the night, speaking of gobbling up, Jon Moxley defeated the Butcher and retained his AEW title in the main event.
Yeah,
It was a big letdown as they promoted Moxley's opponent being picked by Eddie Kingston, and he chose the Butcher. People thought it was going to be a bigger name. It was going to be a debut, someone new, someone returning, someone joining that little faction of Eddie Kingston's, and it's just the Butcher coming out. And
we're not talking about Brutus Beefcake from WCW in '94 when he turned on Hogan. Not that Butcher.
It wasn't that good.
No, it was a different
quality
Butcher.
of the match.
Beefcake might have been better at this point. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was
the quality of the match was all right. Should it be a main event? No. Just because you throw the title on the match doesn't mean it's going to be, whatever. And I don't I'll say this, I don't like titles just being randomly defended and the opponents being picked. You know what I mean? It's just, I get the storyline and stuff like that, but just random title matches.
Why would the way I always look at this is, why would some random wrestling executive running a wrestling company allow any of these things to happen? And it goes back to the bullshit booking that went on during the Monday Night Wars. For all the great things that happened during the Monday Night Wars, common sense is one thing that was done away with and has never returned. And it's one thing that has hurt the overall credibility of the industry and has turned away a lot of wrestling fans, because most people don't like to have their intelligence insulted, whether they're watching a wrestling show, whether they're watching a sports game, whether they're watching a sitcom, a dramatic television show, a movie. If you insult someone's intelligence, they're not going to want to watch. I don't.
I was going to state it later, but I'll do it now. I think AEW does way too many title matches. They have at least one or two a week. And I know next week, I think they have two again. I don't like these random title matches, even though the champion always wins. You take away the shock factor of a title change if you're doing them every single week with the champion defending. And then it takes away from the real title matches at the pay-per-views, because then you're like, oh, I just saw this title defended 3 times in the past month, and nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't disagree with you.
It takes away from the title itself if it's just going to be defended on a whim. Not that type of
Not
whim.
that whim, no.
But,
no.
Yeah.
He's still looking for it.
Yeah.
At
what
least
would
he
you
texted you, not me.
Well, yeah. Give you a little heat over that one. What would you grade AEW?
Well, as far as the main event goes, it was kind of an uninteresting Eddie Kingston promo. He doesn't look like a wrestler. He speaks well. Just comes across as some random guy. But if I was Eddie Kingston and I could pick Jon Moxley's challenger for the AEW Championship, why wouldn't he just pick himself? Instead,
he said in the promo before the match that he was a little too beat up and didn't want to face Moxley.
Okay.
But if I'm
that was a good one.
Yeah, if I'm Eddie Kingston, why not have somebody go in there, pick the biggest guy you could find, the biggest badass, have him beat the shit out of Moxley,
I don't even understand why Phoenix and the other masked one are with him. But anyway, Butcher had about as much credibility to the fans in winning the match as if Moxley was going to take on Reno Chastain again. He had too many guys at ringside. I'll say this for Butcher, he might not be all that impressive in the ring, but he's a cool-looking throwback. I like his look. It was a different main event. It definitely wasn't a great main event. But I'll say this, unlike WWE presenting what feels like the same main events over and over and over again, this was at least different and had a different feel to it.
That's the thing with AEW. It feels different, but just not that good in some cases, you know?
Well, the moment of truth is, and I'm going to ask all the fans at home to chime in on the live premiere with their numbers. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give this episode?
I gave it a 4.
Another 2 4s this week. All right, well.
You could give it a 5 if at first I liked both episodes as like a 5, kind of the middle of the road.
Yeah.
But again, I like what you said. Right after the show, do your grade. Because usually when we talk about it, the less I like it, you know, the more I think about it and break it down. But I mean, at first I gave them both a 5 just out of the benefit. But the more I think about it and break it down, I just like it even less. But 4 was fine. There were, you know, the segments that I liked. Allen and Starks was good. Cody and Brody Lee was good until it just went way off the rails and all over the place. FTR and SCU I liked. Jericho and Cassidy I liked. You know, Sabian and Miro I didn't like. Cassidy and 10 I didn't like. MJF segment I liked. Baker and Jobber I really didn't care for. And Moxley and Butcher I really didn't care for. So I think it warranted a 4, 4.5.
We're not going to go at the halves, kid. Come on now. All right. So on my end, I love the build-up to upcoming episodes of Dynamite, so they're presented as something important instead of just countless matches being made on the spot like we see on WWE TV shows before commercial breaks each and every week on each and every show. I thought you had a great opener. Ricky Starks is excellent. He should be a building block for the company. I thought the first half of Cody's promo was very good and effective. Britt Baker's match looked like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25 compared to the women's match that was on NXT. You had a solid tag team title match. Jericho and Cassidy was what it should have been outside of some of the nonsense at ringside. Then again, on the flip side, the main event was overbooked. The second part of Cody's promo was overbooked, and one of the worst things I've seen in 2020. Brandy Rhodes should not be involved in this. The ringside crew getting involved in Jericho's match was overbooked. Making Adam Page look like an idiot drinking takes away from his presentation. Young Bucks turning into 1997 DX is uninteresting to me. Rusev being booked to look like a moron irritates me. Anything with Orange Cassidy and the Dark Order kills credibility on any professional wrestling show on national television. But with the good things, I still
What did you grade it?
I'm giving my grade right now. I have to give it.
I don't know if you said it or not.
No, I have to give it a 6. And it would have been a stronger rating if it wasn't for all the garbage that I just poured through. I thought it was a more interesting show than NXT, although I gave both a 6. The wrestling, I thought, parts of it were better on AEW because there was more of it and less women's wrestling. I just think the things that are bad on AEW aren't just bad. They're atrociously bad. But the things that are good, they can be very good. It's difficult. I wish AEW was a 60-minute show.
Yeah, I gave both a 4 and you gave both a 6.
Interesting. Well, I want to know what the fans gave it. Again, if you're watching live, fans, in the little chat box before you hit that gray super chat button to help keep us on the air, of course, please give us your 1 to 10 on AEW Dynamite this week. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. If you're watching a replay of this Wrestling Insider Special Edition Current Events style podcast, leave it in the comment section below. We want to know what you think, because it's all about you, because if there aren't professional wrestling fans, there is no NXT, there is no AEW, and more important, there is no Boston Wrestling Sports or the MWF during our 19th anniversary week, kid. You managed to survive just over 1 year of it. Imagine trying to live 19 of it. I'm surprised I'm still breathing.
Almost longer than me.
Longer, yeah. Much longer. Yeah. Almost as long as your socks.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, do we have any news and notes before we take this home? Quincy Rastani's turning into an animal.
Yes, we do. FTR will defend the AEW tag titles next week on Dynamite against TH2, Jack Evans, and Angelico.
Who?
Jack Evans and Angelico.
When the hell was the last... I vaguely remember they were with the promotion. When was the last time they were on?
A couple weeks ago.
Wrestling?
Yes.
On Dynamite?
Yeah.
Really? I don't remember. Okay.
They were on the pay-per-view too, I believe, in the Battle Royal.
Well, we know the problems we had with the technical issues leading into that, so I missed them on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's just random. It's not needed. I get FTRs trying to do this open challenge style type of thing.
When you only have 10 tag teams in a company, you're going to have to go through everybody at some point. I don't have a problem with that. I basically forgot they even existed until you just said their names.
But when you're doing all the matches back to back to back to back to back every single
week, yeah,
it's going to start to get boring, and you're going to run out of people very, very quickly.
But the alternative would be what you don't like in WWE, which is where you see, like, for example, Street Profits and Andrade and Angel Gaza wrestling singles matches with each other ad nauseam.
Well, I'd rather have.
So what's the mix, baby?
I'd rather have a built-up tag feud than just random tag matches every week when you know FTR is going to win. I'd rather have them do it non-title and just beat the shit out of each other. But I know you say, oh, just put the title on it if they're going to win anyway. But I don't like giving people title matches.
I come from a different era.
I've said before, I don't like just handing away title matches, especially for the tag titles. But move on. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Luther and Serpentico next week. That's some way to celebrate 30 years in the business for Chris Jericho, right?
I can understand Jericho wanting to do it.
Why?
Even though it's kind of a waste. Well, it's the 30th year of his time in the business.
So let's put over two losers. Well, no,
Luther is someone that he has a background with. Maybe it's ego fulfilling more than anything. I remember I was actually at the live Madison Square Garden special in October of 2015 for the 25th anniversary of his career. If I remember right, he wrestled Neville, and he also, I think he flew in. I might be wrong, but I remember Don Callis was there and Lance Storm was there, and I think a couple of other guys that he broke in with were sitting in the front row at MSG next to Betty Scoland, as a matter of fact, one of John Cena Sr.'s femme fatales, in what was a pretty good MSG house show that was actually televised on WWE Network.
Well, I didn't watch that one,
Well,
but
it was a good one.
I just think it's a dumb match to do for a 30-year anniversary. But you may like it. But I think if you're going to do the 30-year, I mean, do something better than that. A random tag match that was just put together. But that's just me. Also announced for next week, Brian Cage will defend the FTW title against Will Hobbs next week. It's a stupid title that means absolutely nothing. Even everyone says it's a title that means nothing.
The title isn't needed.
It's not needed at all. And he's going to defend it for some odd reason. Who I really don't care about.
Again, I look at the small things. Why would AEW as a company authorize this as one of their championships to be defended on their TV show?
It takes away from any credibility.
Yeah. Well,
any credibility. You're just going to throw a title on. So it's stupid. I mean, I wouldn't really compare it to the 24/7 title as that big of a joke, but still, it's just a dumb title.
Overkill.
Yes. An 8-man single elimination tournament was announced to crown the number one contender for the AEW title. So far, Kenny Omega, Jungle Boy, and Rey Fenix have been announced. The finals will be at Full Gear. What do you think about this elimination tournament?
Not much.
No, well, that says it all. An AEW video game is in development, and it's going to take some time before it's fully ready. What do you think about
That's usually how it goes with video games.
No, but usually you don't start teasing a video game when it's like a year away.
I'll say this. It is a huge thing for AEW to land that deal. That when TNA had their video game came out, it was one of only 1 or 2 years that they actually turned a profit. So I tip the cap to TNA, to AEW for being able to have a game out so quick. If I believe correctly, video game fans would remember more than me, but I believe the TNA game came out in 2007, and that would have been 5 years of TNA. Your AEW, you're looking at a company that's only been around a year. So good job for AEW to land that deal. I'm proud of them.
Then in the final news and notes I have here, it looks like Gerald Briscoe is going to be heading to AEW.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to have to talk to my my dear friend Jerry Briscoe about this.
Have you seen
You
anything?
piqued my curiosity, very much so.
Have you seen anything he's posted on social media?
The last time I saw anything he posted was the day he was either the day or the day after he released when him and I spoke personally.
Oh, there's the answer. But it looks like he's headed to AEW.
Good. That's a great signing for AEW.
Yeah.
Well, I have a feel that I might be trying to talk to him tonight.
Yeah. Then in the viewership, if you want to guess it again.
Oh, I'm going to go low this week. 775 for AEW.
No.
How'd they do?
Higher.
Really? Good. Okay. Well, what was it? Don't keep me guessing.
866,000.
Really? All right, on a night with a lot of sports competition. Good for them.
I was surprised. I thought both shows were going to go down, and they actually both went up.
And if
a good amount.
NXT, it's a go home for the pay-per-view. I'm not big on even numbers. I'll say 725 for NXT.
732.
Wow, I was really close on that one. I was really close. I could have gone to Vegas with those numbers.
But I think both shows did really good in the viewership.
No, very, very good for both shows. Yep. There was a lot of competition.
They're going up against Game 1 of the NBA Finals, which was down 50% from last year's Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
We're not going to go into the reason why about that.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone.
They were going up against the MLB playoffs, which their viewership has been good. So, I mean, they did a really good job going up against some heavy hitters last night, and I commend them on that.
Everybody should be happy.
Yeah. And the next, we move into SmackDown, which I'm not expecting much from. I'm sure we'll do our show on Saturday morning,
baby. Just what I love to wake up early for is to talk about the wild night at the Thunderdome the previous night. And we're getting ready for a wild night here at MWF Studios, folks. If you missed tonight's Marty Jannetty's Wrestling Insider Party with Marty, I suggest you find it on the YouTube channel. You will not believe the story of this plane ride from hell circa 1990 with the WWF roster and drunk college kids on a red-eye flight from San Francisco to Dallas. You're going to love it.
See, the good thing about SmackDown is it could be
still talking SmackDown. Okay.
Well, yeah. The good thing is it could be a shitty SmackDown, but then we got the piece after, John Cena Sr.
Oh, you're talking about on Friday nights itself. That's right. Good, bad, or ugly, whether you enjoy SmackDown or not. You got old J-Fab, John Cena Sr., fresh off of his WWE Network appearance. He'll be with us for another fabulous Friday as we remember the late, great Road Warrior Animal, giving him much more of a tribute than WWE did for some reason. And we also talk about the Roman Reigns Jey Uso dynamic. Some very interesting thoughts from not only the man whose loins that John Cena came from, but a man that himself main evented Monday Night Raw. So it's going to be a big week. Big week.
Big week.
And if you're a Patreon fan, not only is that episode available now, next week's episode of Wrestling Insiders with the Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, for everyone, it is open Tuesday night at 9 p.m. If you're a Patreon person, you get it now when we talk about his thoughts on WWE talent being put in a very odd position when it comes to platforms like Twitch, Cameo, and so on and so forth. So we're going to have a lot of fun as always, but don't forget, Sunday night, baby, we're going to be live for NXT TakeOver for the watch-along.
The watch-along. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. And if Dave Carter was here, he'd say me three.
Is Glance there?
Glance is not here, but Quincy Rastani is anxiously wanting me to end this podcast.
And get to Christmas.
And get to, well, he doesn't like Christmas. He hates Christmas, but he just wanted to make sure he didn't forget to tell anyone, I guess. Sometimes you need 3 months.
Yeah.
If he gave out Christmas cards, I guess he'd walk them door to door from Boston to California to make sure everybody had them in time. But there he is, Quincy. We're wrapping up the show. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with the folks at home, Quince? Well, you're halfway across the room. Maybe you could come a little closer. What?
Very best of luck in the holidays that's coming.
You're wishing people luck in the holidays that are coming.
Let's not forget there's a crisis going on out there.
What's the crisis?
The virus thing?
The virus thing.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, hopefully Maria and Tina aren't going to get the virus.
Well, right now it seems to be the talk of everything. And
What, Maria and Tina?
no, this thing here.
Yeah.
You know, so all I can do is wish everyone the very best of luck. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's all we can do.
yeah.
All right. All right. Well, Quincy, thank you for these great holiday wishes.
Well, I don't see what's so funny. A lot of people,
A lot of people love Christmas.
you're gonna, some are gonna be like without their, you know, whoever it is they lost, you know, because of
Yeah.
this virus. You know,
Well, it won't be as merry of a Christmas for them, unfortunately.
all the holidays.
Yeah,
you
all,
know,
all of them. Your turkey won't taste the same.
All right. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Well, for all for the prodigy of Southwestern Connecticut, Mr. Matt Degnan, our special guest correspondent, Quincy Rustani, who has gaffer's tape coming off the back of his pants for some reason. I can't figure that out, but he's got a long piece of gaffer's tape on his pants. I'm Dan Mirade, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night for what I'm sure will be a fabulous Friday with John Cena Sr. You and yours be well. Stay healthy. Good night.